cast range. That is basically the new Initiate. They've basically turned Nyx Assassin into the new Enigma, the new Tidehunter. Nyx Assassin can blink in, burrow in 1 second, and then cast these abilities and stun everyone around him. It is actually beautiful. With Naga Siren combinated, like that is combinated. The Sing Sing humor. With Naga Siren, you can ulti, Nyx can dive down, ulti comes off, everyone gets stunned twice because of Impale and because of the Spike Carapace AoE. Unreal fucking game. Oh, casting Vendetta causes Burrow to end. So yeah, you can cast Vendetta, become invisible, and run the fuck away. I think that's really cool. You could Burrow and then Vendetta, and no one knows if you're still there, doing shit, or if you fucked off, or if you're there, cast spells, and then went away. Beautiful. I love that juke. I think that's amazing. Omni Knight got a slight cast point buff. That's pretty good. Oh god, it's taking forever. Almost there. Okay, Oracle. Purifying Flames. The mana cost is now slightly reduced. The cooldown is also slightly reduced. And it can target non-hero units. So, I believe this was his... Purify... I have to check. I'm sorry, I have to check. Wow, it's on the main page. Yes, embarrassing. The guy doesn't know how to use Wiki or Google or anything. Shut up. Purifying Flames, right, this is his damage ability. So his damage ability can now target non-hero units, so you could probably buff creeps, he could probably buff... he could last hit creeps with this, he could help maybe Chen golems or Chen units or Enchantress units, that's pretty good. Illusions as well, pretty nice. Ulti, now it no longer makes target invisible, but continuously removes debuffs and disables. So basically BKB, but better because it consistently removes all these things over and over and over. It's basically a Dark Pact from Slark that lasts up to 8 seconds. Absolutely beautiful. You don't need Invis for that. I think that taking away the Invis and giving this makes it a sick ability. And the cooldown is increased at all levels to the minimum of 40 seconds, up from 20 seconds. That is really, really nice. I think that's a beautiful change. Outworld Devourer has a new Aghanim Scepter upgrade. It now affects everyone in an area effect with Astral Imprisonment after it deals damage. So he drops the hammer and everyone becomes an orb, a floating orb. I'm not sure if that's including teammates, but I think it might. That is really, really cool. Means you can initiate or... at one point with your team on an AoE, so you don't have to wait one by one because they're all caught at the same time. I think that's really, really nice to land easy stuns. The upgrade no longer triggers mana drain and does not increase the damage multiply by 1. So I think that's a fair back and forth in order to make his basically his ulti can initiate now. He can turn around, drop the ulti. If it doesn't kill people, he's going to be able to initiate on these two people caught in the orb. Nice change. Phoenix. Phoenix Fire Spirits now does an unobstructed reveal of an area it hits. I think that's good for scouting. I think that's good for dewarding. I think that's good for just making sure that your Fire Spirits have landed on the target you intended it. I think that's pretty good in general. Puck's damage, Waning Rift, is slightly buffed at all levels, starting with 100 damage early. I think this is really good for laning stage. I think Waning Rift is better than the orb at the laning stage, especially for mid against melee heroes, because the damage is faster and the silence is immediate. I think this is a nice buff to Puck. I always like playing Puck. Pudge Rot increased at all levels. Pudge Rot now scales to increase at all levels. This is probably not as game changing, but I think it's a really good change. Probably helps him when he lands his combination. It probably helps him kill them more efficiently, especially if they're quite fast moving heroes. Usually you would tend only to use Rot for the damage. I think with this slow, you kind of better to initiate as a blink to catch people like that. I think it's nice. Pugna's got a lot of changes. Decrepify is changed to become a scaling ability for the slow. The amplification is no longer flat 50, it scales upwards from 30 to 60. The duration is also flat instead of scaling to 3.5, and the cooldown is also higher at level 1, but lower at but scales, yeah, higher at all levels up until the same max, the same lowest level. Blah. Higher at all levels, but the same short cooldown at max level. So overall, Decrepify I think is better because even if the amplification is basically higher at level. No, sorry, it's a nerf because beforehand you have to get level 3 amplification to deal nowadays you have to get level 3 amplification to deal the same damage you get as level 1 amplification from Decrepify. The slow is stronger as well, but I think for ganks this would be better, but for damage it will be worse. So he doesn't dominate with his Decrepify Q in laning stage against a Pudge, for example, as strongly as before. Life drain, damage and restore per second is slightly higher. His ultimate's buffed. Cast range also is now scaling, but it's got a higher range at level 3. That's quite nice. And the upgraded life drain no longer increases cast range. So yeah, so they buffed the cast range and removed that buff from the Aghanims. That's fair. I think that's nice. Ricky's smoke screen no longer slows attack speed. I think that's alright. But it now reduces turn rate. That means, oh, that's beautiful. Basically, that works exactly towards Ricky's kind of hero construction. He wants to deal damage from you from behind. So causing you to turn more slowly means he can just keep kiting round and round and round while you're trying to turn to face him, which means he's continuously dealing backstab damage. I think that's brilliant. Rubik, Null Field now also affects creeps. It's a cute little addition. I'm not sure it's going to be huge. Caustic Finale duration decreased. Now always triggers regardless of death or at the end of duration. That's quite nice. You can stack 2 camps in the jungle with this now because of that trigger. No longer resets duration if it already applied that debuff. Fair enough. That works with the initial change. And then now it applies a 20% movement slow when the damage occurs, regardless of death or when the timer expires. The slow lasts for 3 seconds. So I think Sand King has a better laning stage. I think he can go mid almost, because with this going mid, you can kind of force melee heroes in the mid lane that you want to 1v1ing against to definitely have to stay away for a long time, because no matter what you right click, they are going to take the damage in an AoE regardless of what they do. I think that's really nice to like kind of throw people out of the lane. Shadow Demon's poison, mana cost reduced, and Aghanim's upgrade now applies break, so it disables passive abilities. That's pretty nice. I think that's a nice buff. I think he's still a pretty weak hero, but it's a good buff to him. Shadow Demon base strength increased and strength gain increased. So he's a little bit more tanky, and he grows a little bit more tankier each time. Good buff as well to a fairly squishy support. Silencer's movement speed is slightly reduced. His last word initial enemy cast allowance window from 5 to 4. So basically, you have 4 seconds to cast a spell rather than 5 seconds. It no longer disarms, so after it goes away, if it hits you and you haven't cast a spell, it doesn't disarm you anymore. I think that's nice. It still gives a silence, but it now applies a slow whenever it triggers. I think that's a better one. I think the disarm was a bit broken early game. I think very broken early game. Saved me a couple of times, definitely. Slithering Crush buffed damage, very good. Sniper got nerfed all around. Agility gain nerfed. Recharge time from Shrapnel nerfed. Shrapnel delay nerfed. This is a longer delay, longer recharge time. Gives vision only after it lands rather than instantaneous. Headshots can now miss before they could never miss. That is very big nerf. And assassination damage slightly nerfed as well. So no, it's higher at level 1 and 2, but lower at level 3. So definitely a predicted nerf. Everyone was seeing this coming. It's really, really good. Spectre reality no longer kills a target illusion, now swaps positions. So when he reality shifts to an illusion during his ultimate, it no longer kills that illusion. You swap places. That's really good to fight people who are ganking you and your location. And you could always reality rift back, which is pretty damn strong. I think that needs to be there. Sometimes you jump in, you realize, actually I need to get the fuck out of here, so you can reality rift back. Beautiful. Spirit Breaker Empowering Haste cooldown is now buffed. Storm Spirit's movement speed is reduced, but Ball Lightning Flying Vision reduced. So slight nerfs to Storm Spirit, slight buff to Spirit Breaker. Slight buff to Sven as his Warcry armor is increased. Techie's landmine activation delay reduced. Static Trap activation delay reduced. Detonation delay for Static Trap reduced. Suicide cooldown reduced. Minefield side cooldown reduced to 2 minutes. Minefield sound now requires techies to walk to exactly where he wants to put it. Is now as an area effect targeting cursor and has a limited lifespan of slightly longer than its cooldown. The Aghanims causes that sign to make all bombs in the area fucking immune to true sight. That's beautiful. So just no. Okay, I'm not gonna even just no. Moving on. Templar Assassin. Meld cooldown decreased. Tiniest buff possible to Templar Assassin. Terrorblade's reflection. Terrorblade's reflection cast range from 275 to 325. So slight buff to his reflection cast range and slight buff to the reflection damage. Reflection illusions now deal 100% of the damage. So it deals exactly the right click they deal. Pretty nice. Kraken Shell damage block increased from Tidehunter, so buff to Tidehunter, buff to Terrorblade, buff to Templar. Timbersaw reactive armor only triggers when attacks land rather than when they begin. Same with the axe earlier, so that's fine. Max stacks though increased to 20. That's beautiful. Timbersaw's gonna be incredibly tanky. Christ, I shouldn't have done this. It takes fucking forever. Tinker Laser Hero Blind duration increased at all levels. Almost all levels. It's now max at 4.5, which is unreal. Rearm mana cost is reduced, which is beautiful. Aghanim Scepter Laser no longer has a additional cast range, but it now bounces to other heroes within a 550 AoE. That is beautiful. Basically, the namesake of this channel, Laser Circus, the namesake of me, now has a fucking visual effect with it. This is basically Laser Circus. This is what you're gonna see if I stream consistently. It's beautiful. It's gonna be beautiful, and I love it. Tiny toss grab radius increased. Tiny now tosses the closest unit rather than a random unit. That's a fair buff. Eyes of the Forest area effect reduced from 800 to 700. This is fair because it was broken, and when he gets an Aghanims and he puts those Eye in the Forest everywhere, it fucking gives ridiculous area effect. So that's a good change. Troll Warlord, huge nerfs to him. Berserker's Rage no longer removed on death. That's the only thing that I think is good for him. Battle Trance duration reduced to 5 seconds. Melee whirling axes and range whirling axes no longer provide any vision. Berserker's Rage no longer provides plus 15 damage. Tusk mana cost reduced from Ice Shard's mana cost reduced by 30. So his Q is reduced by 30. The cooldown is also reduced at all levels. It's 1 second higher at level 1, the same at level 2, 1 second lower at level 3, and 2 seconds lower at level 4. Ice Shards. The vision revealed from Ice Shards is now increased as well to 2 seconds. Snowball speed is now a flat 675, so you don't need to stack everyone in it to be fast. It's now just normally fast. Snowball no longer auto-loads units in 100 range, which is fine. Tusk can now add allies to the Snowball while it is moving. That is a utility thing. I think it's really good. An Aghanim Scepter upgrade. Basically, Tusk and Earth Spirit can play football because Tusk has an ability called Walrus Kick, and it kicks a target back 900 yards and slows by 40% for 4 seconds. It is pretty funny. I'm not going to say again, but you know where to go. Look on that page. I'm not going to say. Go there, have a look. It's bloody hilarious. Undying. Soul Rip is now considered 1 damage instance on the enemy, rather than many sources. Tombstone Zombie now... remove Tombstone Zombie from targeting for Soul Rip. So you can't Soul Rip your own Tombstone Zombie, which is good. Zombies now require 1 attack to kill rather than having health, which is good. Which means creeps can kill them in 1 click. Ursa's ultimate is reworked. He goes into a frenzy, causing him to take 80% less damage from any source, and for his attacks to deal 2.5 to 3 times the Fury Swap's damage. So basically, his Roche ability is much increased with